Well, hey everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Thursday, the 6th of May, 2021. Let me move my keyboard out of the way here so I can shuffle a little bit. I did not write on the blog yesterday, so if you follow my blog, Stepping Aside, I usually do a daily magical forecast, which includes astrology and rune divination and numerology and aspect patterns and different things that can be helpful when you're working magic, but can also be for anyone else too, because it does have the astrology, the lunar transits, and all of that in there. But I didn't write yesterday because yesterday, as I mentioned last week, was my 42nd wedding anniversary. So my husband and I hung out yesterday and hung out with the two roosters and just sort of did what we had to do around the place, but mostly just, visited and, stuff like that. So it was nice. We had a very nice day. And then last night, the most coolest thing happened, and we didn't know what it was until my oldest son's wife, my daughter-in-law, who's the neuroscientist, she, I texted both the boys and after we saw it, but we saw a series of, a straight line of lights in the sky moving from northwest to southwest on a trajectory. I have never seen anything like that before. We have the International Space Station, which flies above our house periodically, so we get to see that. It wasn't like that, though. Turns out what it likely was, and it fits the description perfectly, SpaceX has a series of 60 satellites that are tethered together somehow. I don't know if by something, I still haven't looked it up yet to find out, but it looks like they're tethered together, or computer-wise, they're all staying, where they're supposed to stay. And literally, it was crawling across the sky at a pretty good clip. And so it was the most amazing thing ever. I got pictures of it as best I could. They're not great. I took a couple of videos and they didn't turn out. But it's nighttime. It was like after 9 o'clock when this was, I think, well, maybe right around 9 o'clock, maybe. I don't know. When we were out there and we saw it. We saw when SpaceX's, rocket piece or some such thing came down and broke up over Oregon and Washington. We saw that as well. That was incredible. We saw that off our front porch. But this one, we were out in the driveway and it was the coolest thing I've seen in maybe ever. I literally have never seen anything like that. So if you have I don't know, maybe they can do like with the ISS and find out when it's going to be over your house or in the sky above where you live so you can see it. I'm telling you, it is just the neatest thing ever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to do a little more research on it today to get more information on it, but it was kind of a cool, it's like they were giving us a flyover on our wedding anniversary, even though that's not what they were doing. But still, it was kind of neat to do that, to see that anyway. But it was very cool. Anyway, so I guess that's it about all that. So again, I hope everybody's week is going well. Let's see, on Monday we had Fehu. And we had Fortuna Major, so cast the intention for greater fortune. We had the Ace of Swords, the Four of Wands, the Seven of Cups, and then we drew a fourth card, the Eight of Swords. And basically, we're talking, letting new ideas come in. And really, ideas are what, create the greater fortune, isn't it? But anyway, also balanced energy exchange with others versus head in the clouds. And with the Eight of Swords, you're having self-imprisonment. So how much are you letting perceptions get in the way of things, from getting you the kind of achievement or success or just something positive in your life, are your perceptions holding you back from that? So I think that's kind of where we left it. And then we'll see what today's cards and runes have to say. So that's enough with the shuffling. Let's go ahead and we'll take the rune from the rune bag. But I will do the magical forecast today. I didn't put anything out on Medium. I didn't do the daily astrology. I didn't do the magical focus for Wednesday over on Patreon either. I didn't do anything. I didn't write at all. So A day off. Well, so we have Ansus, Odin's rune. It's the rune of eloquence or spirit communication. So higher self-awareness and then expressed into your interactions with other people today. So that's a very powerful rune, isn't it? Especially with it being known as Odin's rune. So let's see. Okay. Well, all right. We have Tristitia again today. Let me see if I can find it here in the, there it is. It means sadness and grief. You have passive influences with the 2 dots all the way down. Fire, air, water, and then earth is an active type of a principle there. So, I mean, it can be, literally it's about grief associated with form and our experience in form in these bodies. So I think that, again, drawing down higher self-influence when you're feeling a sense of grief and loss. A lot of people are right now. We've lost so many people, over 500,000 people have died from COVID that we know of. I mean, there could be more. I don't know. Depends on how well a state counted. You've got some states that for whatever reason just think that, they don't want anyone to really know how much they had. But it reflects badly on them, and it certainly doesn't treat any of the families with any kind of dignity. We need to know the truth. And but at this point, we've got over 500,000 that have passed. Well, that's, families that are grieving and feeling the loss of all of this. And it's hard to make sense out of it when you still see people that won't wear masks, that won't get the vaccine, that won't cooperate with any of this. It really, I can't imagine. I don't know that we have had anybody in our family who has died from COVID. We haven't heard if we have. But I know someone who's, and I don't know that he died during COVID. It was a young guy. I don't know if he died from COVID, though. Maybe not. But, the grief that is still there with that family, and irrespective of why the person died. So we're all dealing with, and then of course we're all dealing with all of the pressures and difficulties associated with trying to negotiate life in a pandemic. And I think that realistically, the biggest thing that's been affected is trust. Really, fundamental trust of being able to trust your neighbor to do the right thing, to not get you infected, right? It's being able to look outside yourself to something greater, to a greater need or a greater level of harmony that we all need to be working within now. And there are just some people that simply cannot do that. And so the rest of us that are trying to do that, we have to go out and try to have some semblance of trust and calm when we go out and about, but we're still not able to do that. Even vaccinated. It's like although I feel a whole lot more calm now than I was out and about, and I do, so does my husband, but you're still seeing people that are behaving ridiculously and taking risks that they don't need to take. So anyhow, let's go ahead and see the cards, what they are today. Well, we're looking at some fulfillment here with the 9 of Cups. He's a jolly fellow, isn't he? Sitting on his stone bench there. His arms are crossed, but not in a defensive posture or anything. 9 is about endings and completion, humanitarianism, spiritual stuff and all of that. Spiritual messenger and all. But here you have a guy who's sitting there. You see the blue fabric in the background. That's related to the suit of or the element of waters and the suit of cups. That's about our emotions, empathy, compassion. Change is also another one. Momentum. Just think, how does water flow in all its forms? So you can see all of that within that. But here you have a guy that is just, let me see if I forgot anything about him. I don't think so, though. Just happiness and success and overcoming challenges and well-being and emotional satisfaction. You just feel like at the end of it, you're feeling pretty good about stuff. And that's kind of what this says to me. Um, however, I'm going to put him in the middle. Now, and I say that because I have the Chariot, which is the seventh card of the Major Arcana, card 7. And then I have the Seven of Wands. So let's see if we can use these two to modify the or to give more information about the Nine of Cups and this emotional fulfillment and well-being that we have. So with the Chariot now, as we've talked about before, because we've had this before recently, we see the King in his Chariot. The Chariot's at rest, though. He's not even holding on to the reins. I mean, at first blush, you're looking at a card of balance. You see the dreidel on the shield here below the winged sun, which this indicates healing, by the way. And so does this. This is balance. So healing and balance, or I should say healing and balance. Over there somewhere. But then you also show balance here with the two towers or whatever, the castle or whatever that is. This could be a church maybe over here, or maybe this is the church. But in any event, you see balance there, balanced polarity. You see balanced polarity with the dark and the light, or dark and the light critters there. The sphinxes, his little beasties that are pulling him, only they're not. They're at rest, aren't they? Now, when we talk about the water element, I think I mentioned momentum. Well, the same is true for the Chariot. Are you going to take the reins, or are you going to take the reins, or are you going to allow? So in other words, do you drop resistance or do you press on? And in this case, everything has come to rest and to balance. We see the triplicities of the maiden and crone, and this would be the mother right there. So you've got triplicities with the moon here. Maiden, mother, and crone. You see the cube right here on his breastplate, which indicates earth. You see the stars above, one on his crown, and then the Merkabahs. They're actually Merkabah-shaped stars that are on the drape above him and behind him. So you see intention here, which would be the fire element. You see water. You see the idea of momentum, but at rest. Okay, so you have that. You have the moons, the triple aspect of the moons. That's also water element. You've got the winged sun, which is Mercury, and that's air. So it looks like everything is contained within this card, within the Chariot. But the 7 energy is something where you want to think in terms of observation. So you want to let things come to a rest, to take stock of it all, and to know where you are before moving forward. Okay? Observation is important. So I think that then we'll put that down, and let's look at the 7 of Wands. Now here we're standing our ground. Wands is the fire element. It's active. It's masculine. It's projective. It's catalytic. It's intuition. Whereas water element would be more like empathy or being an empath, perhaps, or that side of the equation. Here you have intuition with fire. But he's standing his ground, isn't he? He's not letting anybody come any closer. And basically getting above it all, again, in a sense, to see what's coming at him. And that's what you do with the 7. The whole point of getting into that observational mode is you can see what's coming at you, so you know what you're looking at before you can then make a decision of what you're going to do. So you have 7, and 7 is 14, reduces to 5. 5 and 9 is 14, also reduces to 5. So we have some change going on today. Now we talked about that in terms of Monday's reading, where there needs to be a change in perception in terms of things that keep you self-imprisoned, okay, in stuff that really isn't workable for you. Maybe you're caught up in the delusional conspiracy stuff that's going on. Maybe you're caught up in believing someone's lies. But the long and the short of it is that your perception is incorrect. And you have to have the flexibility to take a step back with the 7 energy, let things come to rest, and be absolutely sure of what you're doing and how you're perceiving things. Okay? Now, with especially with the level of grief and loss that so many of us are going through, okay, that tends to overwhelm you, and it's difficult to know the direction forward because you're lost in the grief. Okay, but if you do this, all right, and you let everything come to rest, and you give yourself the space to move through it all in a way that's non-threatening, and then it's a way that simply accepts where you are and how you feel. You don't, in other words, you don't want to create any resistance here like we're not doing here. Here we're coming to rest, right? Here's some resistance, but it's after we've taken stock and we know where to go with it. And if people are coming at you, you have to say no. If it's a mask up situation, you have to set your boundaries and you have to live with them, even if it means you walk away from the situation. You still have to live with it, right? And you still have to make the right decision for yourself. And the last thing you want to do at this juncture is to do anything that compromises your safety or the safety of your family. We're so close, right? And if everybody got behind this, we would be there now. But no, we're not. But, who knows? It may become abundantly clear in the future here, in the not too distant future, where we might understand that, yes, in fact, we have to do this. We have to do this for one another. We have to do this for our communities. We have to do it for our families, for our grandparents, our parents, our children. Because, yes, our children can get the virus. And now that they're going back to school, if they're not able to do it safely, if you happen to live in a state that's, filled with nutty lawmakers, well, maybe that's not being done safely enough and your children are at risk. So you see, you have to take a step back and see what the circumstances are. Like right now, we're in an extreme risk time here in our state. As of tomorrow, it's like 15 counties or 15 cities or whatever. Not counties. I don't think it's counties. I think it's cities. We've been one of them where we've been in an extreme risk. So we've had a week or so of more restriction. Now tomorrow that's going to go to just a high risk. So there's going to be a little loosening up of things. The businesses here didn't want that. They wanted to be open. Well, I understand that. But if we've not taken the precautions we need to take, how do you do that without risking people? See? So again, it's this balance between what's reasonable and workable and safe and the real need to get back to regular business hours, right? Have things happen normally. I mean, I get it. We all get it. But if we had all done what we needed to do in the beginning, then we wouldn't have to stand back now and say, okay, is it safe? Let's take a look at things and be sure that this is something you want to do, or maybe you want to hold back for a while, And that's the whole part about the 7 energy, is that you sit back and you objectively observe things and you try to figure out, see all sides of the equation and get the best understanding possible before then making the decisions that you need to make, I don't think we need another card, but I really think that the cards are motivated, maybe purely by Tristitia today and having to deal with all of this. Those of us that haven't seen our kids or our grandchildren in over a year, it's hard on us. We have no family over here now. We're isolated. And our kids live in the valley. And they're close enough that they could, they don't right now, but they're close enough to one another, but we're not. We're like between 2.5, 3 hours away from one and about 3.5 hours away from the other. So it takes time to get there, right? And if you have to come home the same day, well, you don't get a lot of time with people. And when this sort of thing happens, well, now here we are, right? And you want to do the right thing. You don't want to get your family sick. You don't want to get sick yourself. This is bad stuff. And now with the variants, well, But at some point, the goal of stepping back and taking a real hard look at things and an objective look at things, maybe it means, as with Monday, that we shift our perception to something different, that we stop imprisoning ourselves with the Eight of Swords, that we allow, the presence of Odin's rune Ansus to inform our perspectives, to have spirit inform instead of ego. Because again, it's really about ego versus spirit in this situation, I think. At least in my view it is. But in order to get the right ending that we want, where we feel good, where we feel whole, where well-being is considered, where we're happy and successful, we got to step back. Stand in our own power, but step back and make sure we know what that is. You don't go maskless to own the libs. Because I'd be willing to bet you don't even know what a liberal is if you think that way. So, again, I think that this plays into what we talked about on Monday. And so as we cast the intention for greater fortune on Monday, perhaps our greatest fortune is being able to step back and take a look objectively at what's going on to make the best decision for everyone concerned. One that favors wellness and healing and health and working through the grief. See, I mean, you maybe you have friends that you can't go see because of the pandemic, and they're grieving, and you'd like to be able to go and hug them, but you can't yet. And they need that. Everyone does, right? So it's an emotional time. And for us to get back to some level of emotional fulfillment and well-being, we got to stop getting in the way of this stuff. We've got to stop putting the ego above spirit. And we've got to look toward the harmony that is our natural state and do what's best for everyone. So, I guess that's it. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk again on Sunday. If you come by for Esoteric Influences, I'll do that. The newsletter will go out on Saturday night or Sunday morning. So if you want to sign up for that, it's on the left side panel of the blog over at imsteppingaside.com. You'll see links below the video here. And just up toward the top, if you want to get that in your inbox, it has other stuff in it as well. I'm talking about, I wrote a book called When Vampires Attack, and I'm sort of excerpting some of that to give people an idea of what different energy vampires look like. So I'm putting some of that in until I have a few more excerpts to put in. So that'll go on for the next few weeks. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I put herbal stuff in there and, recipes and different things. And sometimes I do magic stuff, of course, different kinds of ideas or concepts and stuff. So that's what you get when you get the newsletter. So if you want to subscribe to that, you can do that. It's free. You can follow me over on Patreon. Now that's a paid site, but it's $1 a month, and you only have to sign up a month at a time. You can do for the whole year for $12, but you don't have to. Our lives are busy, so sometimes you don't have time to just sit online and read stuff, but it's a way to support my blog and all of that. Different ways to do that. There's a tip teacup there on the side panel as well. But then I also write over on Medium. And so you can check stuff out over there too. So I guess that's it. You guys have a good weekend. And again, if I don't see you on Sunday for Esoteric Influences, and Magical Influences, I should say, I changed the name. And if not, then I'll see you again on Monday for Somewhat Daily Tarot and Runes. So, again, have a good weekend and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.